Joined now by Thug Rose Namajunas making her flyweight debut this Saturday in Paris against Manon Fior, the hometown fighter. You wanted something difficult in your return to the UFC, and this is probably about as tough as it gets. So what made you want to really get up for this kind of a challenge?
That's just who I am as a fighter. I don't know of many easy fights that I've taken or chosen to take. So yeah, it's what I guess helps me elevate to the level. I always perform at the level of my competition. So, if it's not a challenge, then it's harder to get motivated for.
So what was the process that went into this particular matchup being made?
The process, well, I mean, basically the UFC offered me Manon, and they offered me a couple different times, but I wasn't ready to come back yet. I had some, you know, I guess I was just still kind of figuring things out in my life. But yeah, when they offered me Manon, it just basically was like, oh, that sounds interesting. It was a good timing. And I liked the opponent. And yeah, then just kind of said yes.
Did you know at the time the fight was going to be in Paris?
Yeah, I did.
So did that kind of elevate the challenge for you to make it and even kind of tougher circumstances for you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess like that's always like an extra factor, but I I've fought. It's not like totally new. I mean, I've fought outside of the country, two other times. So, if anything, it just kind of made it more exciting.
If you could write your story from now until the end of your career, what does that look like? Do you think about that kind of thing?
No, no. I think, I mean, I guess I just kind of like when I first started my career, I set goals for myself. So I guess like in a way that's sort of writing a story, but um, I don't, I guess, hang my identity on achieving these goals. I just kind of like, that would be cool if that happens, and I'm going to do my best to make it happen. But I also know that like God is in control and just kind of let things happen how they need to happen.
So it's not really a set list of goals. It's more just let's see where this journey takes me.
I mean, there's definitely like a list of goals. Like I wrote down that I wanted to become champion. There's a bunch of other like little goals like along the way, I guess, that I've achieved and for myself personally and whatnot. But yeah, on when I originally like started my career, one of the moving up to flyweight and you know what I mean, becoming two division champion was one of the last goals on my list and for my career, I guess. So yeah, here we are.
Are you about the same size, I guess, at the start of fight week that you would have been had you fought at strawweight? You're just cutting less weight, or you've bulked up a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely bulked up a little bit. Normally, for strawweight, I would show up fight week probably around 128. And then for this fight week, I've showed up. I think it was like I originally showed up 137, but I think there was a lot of like water retention from the flight, and then yeah, just slowly, gradually been dropping a pound here and there, every day.
Does it take a lot of pressure off of you during fight week to not have to worry that much about the weight cut since you're not losing, I guess, as much of a percentage of your weight?
Yeah, it definitely. I didn't really think about it that much until like, as of recently. Um, like the weight cuts have been kind of getting a little tougher each time, and then also just like I don't know what it is. Like maybe it's kind of a sign, but I've been seeing a lot of like other, particularly strawweights actually, like two other videos of just strawweights that were like cutting a lot of weight that looked really tough and terrible. And I don't think I quite looked that bad, but I definitely know what they're going through. And so yeah, definitely just doesn't seem like the move right now. It's all about like health being wealth.
I mean, the champion right now at strawweight, of course, is Zhang Weili, somebody who you've beaten twice. Does that not appeal to you right now, going back to strawweight and trying to become the champion again? Is it kind of a new chapter for you?
Yeah, not currently. And if anything, I mean, if she keeps doing her thing and she stays a champ, then maybe she moves up to 125. And given that I'm successful and I'm doing, what I know that I can do. So I would say that seems interesting, especially the way that she performed, recently. But currently, as I sit here, you know what I mean? Like, I just, yeah, that doesn't seem too interesting to go back down to take, just beat her a third time.
Do you think you'll be fighting a little bit more regularly? You've been fighting typically about once a year, twice a year, I guess, in 2021, but in recent years, you haven't been quite as busy.
Yeah. Obviously, like, that's always maybe like a desire to be more active, but like yeah, you can't like force it, you know what I mean? So who knows?
Have you watched the Carla Esparza fight back? I mean, it's one of those fights that I think a lot of people sort of speak ill of because there wasn't a whole lot of activity in that fight, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on it in hindsight.
Yeah, I watched it back and it sucked. So I didn't watch it too much after that.
Yeah, when you look back at it though, do you feel like you weren't really yourself that night? Like that you could have done a lot more?
Um, I think that was just part of God's plan, like definitely could have did a bunch of stuff, right? Like every time I think there's always something you can change or do differently, but I'm glad that it happened that way. I mean, it sucks to have maybe like pissed off some fans or whatever, but ultimately, like, yeah, just all I can do is just move forward and hope that I, do whatever it takes to not do that again. And but it is kind of one of those things I kind of have to forgive myself for because yeah, it was just what I felt like I needed to do at that time, and yeah, shit. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's clear that
Yeah.
you look back on that fight with some regret. But I mean, when you were in there at the time, did you have different feelings during that fight that you did from other fights? Something that maybe wasn't there that you had in previous fights where you had a lot more success?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a different mindset going into that one, on many different levels. Um, yeah, I was very defensive mindseted at the time. Just psychologically, I think I had different priorities at the time. I didn't uh, really want to get into a fight. I didn't want to get punched in the face. I didn't really want to punch anybody. Also, and yeah, it just kind of happened that way. Um, and I definitely felt like I was a little out of character too. You know what I mean? Like even just certain things that I saw, I was like, dang, like, just you kind of you tend to. It's easy to lose yourself, like when there's so much noise and things going around, and you know what I mean? Like I'm human.
Of course, but where do those priorities come from? Like, I'm curious from a psychological standpoint. Like, when you say you didn't want to get hit that night, and you didn't want to hurt somebody that night. Like, what happened that triggered that? Do you know?
Um, I would say, I wasn't really focused on I think I lost focus. I'd say probably about a month out before my fight. I had my grandmother come in town from Lithuania, and she was in a really, tough psychological state, but physically, there was just a lot of things with that you know what I mean? Like until you deal with something like that, you don't really kind of like understand. And I basically was just like my main concern was her, you know what I mean? I wasn't really worried about fighting.
I know that she got a green card, and happy that she's now with
Hmm.
you. How has that changed your life, having her there more regularly? Of course, you've taken it's almost 18 months
Yeah.
off since then, so I imagine that any mindset that you had that we're talking about now is probably gone.
Yeah. No, having her around is such a blessing. I know, like we never know, like any day could be our last, you know what I mean? And so to have her still here, 86 years old, like she's the reason that I can speak Lithuanian. She's the reason that I'm shit even just here, and just in general. I mean, yeah, it's hard to really put into words what she means to me. And so yeah, I'd gladly, sacrifice everything in order to make sure she's okay.
And you were in Lithuania, I guess, earlier this year. What was that experience like for you? I know I've got to go and visit. My dad was born in Kovnas, and I've always wanted to go and
Yeah.
see what it's like. But what was that experience
Yeah,
like
you
for
should
you?
come. What's that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so what was that experience like for you?
Going to Kaunas or just in
And
general,
just
like
going to
being in
Lithuania in
Lithuania?
general and getting to I think you've been
Man.
there prior, but what was this particular experience like?
Yeah. I feel like going to Lithuania, like, I just the best way I could describe it is going to like a fairyland, like a it's very like mystical and like I just feel like if I saw a fairy like flying around, like I wouldn't be surprised, like the forest and everything, or just have this like really cool energy that is really hard to like that I haven't really felt many other places, and everything's just so clean, and everybody really like has a reverence for nature out there. So that's what I'm down with that. You know what I mean? Like that's in the summer times obviously the best time to go. Winter's a little dreary, but even then I had a great time going to the basketball game. Everybody's really passionate about their team and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting place, and yeah, it just kind of like feels really good deep in my soul when I go there.
And it's been a kind of a year of exploration for you. Your documentary came out, and you revealed in the documentary that you had been abused by, I think it was your mother's boyfriend at the time. Has this been like a real year of you being able to confront your demons and be able to kind of let the world know what your upbringing was like and how you've had to overcome those kind of obstacles?
Yeah, it's all about, moving forward and getting through tough times, and you know what I mean? Like but here we are, move past that, and I'm strong and ready to fight.
Was it hard for you to put the documentary out knowing, that you kind of had to reveal a lot about yourself in it?
I mean, I think it's just like it's kind of stuff that's already been put out there that I guess it's just been in a cohesive kind of story that you can kind of watch for yourself. So to me, no, it wasn't that difficult. You know what I mean? Like, I guess there's certain aspects of it that could be difficult, but overall, I think it's fine.
You've already been a role model for a lot of women and girls that are coming up in mixed martial arts. Have you had any kind of survivors of abuse reach out to you about the documentary and how it's kind of helped them with anything that they've gone through?
I guess not like anything particular that comes to mind, but I mean definitely I could feel it, when it's like kind of people come up to me without even really saying, how they can relate. And so I know that it has that I guess positive effect on a lot of other people that other victims and stuff.
So this fight on Saturday feels like a new chapter in your career. What chapter is it? If you had to number this one, what are the chapters of Rose Namajunas' I guess fighting career thus far, and which one are we starting on Saturday?
Like as far as number wise?
Yeah, let's make this into a book from day one of stepping into the gym until today.
Ooh, dang. Okay, from the gym. Let's see, because I mean I've been in the gym since I was 5 years old. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe like 6 or 7. I don't know.
What were the other ones that you were visualizing when you were going through those numbers?
I think just like early childhood to like, kind of like, I guess amateur career to like being an Invicta, and then like getting to the Ultimate Fighter, and then like, and then and then having like, my first UFC fight, to like going on a title run, the first title run, then coming off of that, and then the second title run. And then,
all right. So we'll call this chapter 7. I was trying to count those in my head as you were going through them. So we'll call this chapter 7, chapter 8.
Something like that, yeah.
How many chapters will there be in your fight career?
Ooh, dang. I don't know, guys. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I can't predict the future.
All right. Well, like you say, it's God's plan. We'll see how it unfolds, and we're looking forward to this next chapter. This Saturday, yourself against Manon Fior. Thanks so much for your time, Rose.
Thank you so much.